Hi, it's Mike. Welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Okay, so last night, just get it back in here, right down here. I went through about 8 o'clock till about 3 o'clock this morning, where I was quite low. I was not feeling good. I was kind of here going, I kept feeling like I'm going to crash. I don't feel good. It was not a fun evening. I've rebounded a bit today. We're sitting at 8.4, so we're all in all doing pretty well. I'm glad to say I haven't really peaked, but you see, yesterday I peaked. We did the correction, went down, came back up, and then crashed. I don't know why we crashed, but oh well. Today, though, I want to continue our talk from yesterday, where we talked about a high and what could cause highs. Today, I'm going to do a high, the aftermath. We did lows and aftermath. Now we're going to go highs, the aftermath. So sit back and let's get going. We'll be right back. Okay, now, yesterday in our vlog, I told you about when I went high, and I was high for a few days. I was working with my diabetic specialist because counting carbs, taking correction, drinking fluids didn't really do much. But I ended up going to the local hospital, which is actually skip and a jump down the hallway here. And right away they decided I was in DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis, which means you're super high. They admitted me, and it took about a week, roughly, for me to be brought down. While I was initially started on IV insulin, keeping an eye on my sugars by my pump, they transferred me to Abbotsford Regional Hospital. And they said, oh, you're going in your high acuity unit. Well, I'm an old hat. I thought, okay, high acuity unit. I'd been in one in Royal. I kind of knew how they worked. I went there and I showed up, but I was told, you're next door in ICU. They put me in ICU. And they kept me on IV insulin for a while. One day they said, okay, we're going to stop the IV insulin. And they tried to get me back onto my pump. The pump did do the control the blood sugars. And then I had to go back on IV insulin. And I went into DKA twice while I was there. But it was kind of nice. There, I was kind of brought out of DKA kind of slowly. My body kind of customized to sugar. The IV insulin was giving me insulin as I needed. So it was all good. I did really feel the dreaded aftermath. If you've had a high and you're bringing it down naturally, you've had a super high, for the next day or so, just the same as if you were low, you kind of have an aftermath. You're really kind of tired, feeling drained. You don't really want to do anything. I don't think I've ever called in sick for a high aftermath. In fact, I went to work. I had a high blood sugar, took insulin, went to work at a store that was away from the 7-Eleven I was working at, and I just couldn't really concentrate. So I got held or being told off by that, oh, well, you should have called in sick, or you should have called in sick. I said, oh, okay, but I never called in for a high. I have for a low, but for a high, you kind of drag yourself. You kind of go to work. You always want to finding a place for a toilet or a water station, just in case you need it. Not necessarily saying you're always going to need it, but you can have ups and downs, while your body's trying to even it out. The aftermath, like I said, let's briefly go back over what the symptoms are. You're kind of out of it. You're really kind of tired because having high blood sugar does take an awful lot out of you. Trust me, I know about this. My early years, when I was finishing my degree and such, I would be blindly going off. My blood sugars would be high all the time. There'd be days I didn't feel like working. Then I'd end up in the hospital, sometimes not. If I was in the hospital, I'd come out saying, oh, I'm going to do things great, and I would continue and do things great for a week or until life got in the way. But, things started to turn around when I started to take care of myself. Does that mean I don't feel it? I still feel it. Even if I shoot up, and realize that and say, hey, I'm high. I'm going to have to take insulin. I take insulin, bring it down. I'm still going to feel this. I have a chalky mouth for a while. I go through and I drink a whole bunch of water. It's kind of like, hey, I'm dehydrated. I need some water. But you know what? Keeping yourself under control is sort of the best thing you can do. Keeping you, I hate using this analogy, being straight. Your body's blood sugar is not a straight and narrow. You're within a range. It's up, it's down, it's up. Because you eat throughout the day. It's the problem when you are doing this and then go boom, boom, and then boom, boom. That's when you really kind of drop after a high blood sugar. It's that drop bringing it down to normal where you're not feeling right. It's hard to explain. I've sometimes said it felt like I want to peel out of my skin. I don't really want to peel out of my skin. It just feels like this. Some people from high sugars get stomach cramps. I never really sort of suffered from the stomach cramps as an aftermath. But there are people, as the blood sugar goes up and is cresting, get stomach irritations. I can remember when I was in high school, I had to go in the hospital to get readjusted. There was a girl about my age who was in the hospital, and she had so much stomach ache, and they diagnosed her with type 1 diabetes. And she was like, how could I be type 1? And I said, those stomach aches could be caused by your type 1 diabetes. Maybe you should check it out with your doctor. Turns out it came out that way. So, aftermath, you feel out of it, you're thirsty. Every place you go, is there a public washroom here? Can I get a drink if I have to? And you end up usually trying to get pop, where water is probably the best bet. I would usually like the little, I call it Kool-Aid packs. There's water spurts that you can put flavored water. That works a lot better. I would try to stay away from fuzzy drinks. It may satisfy your thirst, but it's not a great thing to do to handle a high. It usually takes about a day if you start feeling an aftermath after a high. It usually takes about 24 hours, and then the next day you wake up, and if your blood sugar is still, going within the range, if it's still within the range, you're going to start feeling better. But if you're still up and down, that's where you're going to run into problems. So remember that. If you're going super high, I'm talking like over 14, let's just see here. If I could get here, I want to get 14. millimoles per liter equals 14 times 18 equals over 252 on the American system. If you're up in that for any length of time, you're going to feel an aftermath effect, and people have different symptoms. I kind of touched on the most of them, but just be aware, take care of yourself, try to keep your blood sugar within the range. You won't feel low aftermath, and you'll feel less high aftermath. With that, have a super day, and we'll talk again soon. Bye now. My email address is Mike's Diabetes World at gmail.com. All one line. Drop me